Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. Once again, we have Jamarr Jabari returning, and we have Zakar. I'm sorry, what's your last name again? Zakar.
Ahimsa.
Okay.
Ahimsa.
All right. Um, uh, Both of you introduce yourselves real quick, and we're going to get to the meat and potatoes, so we'll talk about real quick.
Yeah, I wanted to also give a acknowledgement to one of our fallen comrades, who was a friend of the PSL party here in Connecticut. He recently was killed in a hit and run 2 nights ago. Comrade Youssef, who was a part of the Peace Commission and also a part of the Peace Council, wore a lot of hats. He was also affiliated with the Communist Party in Turkey, or what we Americans call Turkey. And unfortunately, this is a huge loss for the movement here in Connecticut for fighting capitalism. I just wanted to give him a quick acknowledgement as we in Connecticut are grieving his loss. And I want to give my love and respect also to his loved ones. And hopefully we can take this tragedy and push it forward to be stronger in the movement. But my name is Jamarr Jabari, and I am the host of the Jabari V.O.C podcast, and I'm a proud member of the PSL, Party for Socialism and Liberation, in the Connecticut branch.
Okay, Zakar.
I'm Zakar Ahimsa. I'm also a PSL member in Connecticut. I'm also an anti-Zionist Jew, and so I have a unique perspective on both of these things. To be pro-Palestine and be a Jew, it puts me in an interesting position and predicament. So thank you for having me on.
All right. And so basically, so a lot of stuff going on in the news. What we know since October 7th, what obviously happened, it happened prior to October 7th. This thing just didn't happen in a vacuum. The situation with Israel and Palestine and all of that, but it's really just gone out into the open with the Gaza situation. And more than any other skirmishes it seemingly, objectively, this is a damn genocide. So much so that even a lot of Western countries that would have been sympathetic, they're just kind of like beside themselves on how the situation is. And a lot of people are like crying out for justice for the Palestinian people, but in the United States government, like they usually do, they back Israel, and they're and the Netanyahu government is doubling down, and what, 40,000, close to 40,000 people died in this conflict, and if you question it, you're considered anti-Semitic, or considered anti-Western, or consider it perplexed my mind, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand how anybody could look at this situation and look at the Netanyahu government and think that this is some kind of a good man. I mean, he's a war criminal. Even prior to this situation, he's a war criminal. He helped convince Blair and Bush to go into Iraq when he was the prime minister.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but anyway, I was just noticing since October the 7th, and then kind of led to the situation where you have the encampment here on the various campuses, and there's been some attempts of cracking down on these students. And to kind of summarize everything we're going to be talking about tonight, you even have Benjamin Netanyahu And I'm not exactly the most patriotic American you can imagine, but I kind of resent Benjamin Netanyahu telling the United States how to conduct his business. Here I am defending the United States from this monster.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy?
Whoever thought that? Any thoughts?
Well, yeah. Do you want to go first, Zakar?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, real quick. I think what's important is to notice that we are about a week and a half in since Colombia started this, and shouts out to Colombia. The Colombian students are resilient and the supporters. Unfortunately, Colombia's administration is saying that the talks that they had did not go well, whatever. And they are still going to support Israel. And they are asking to also, not asking, but they said they're also going to support efforts in Gaza, which, wow, you're just going to aid genocide and then feel better about it by funding the victims of this genocide. Like what the hell? That's the most liberal shit that I've ever heard in my entire life. But I do want to give a shout out to Bernard College, which is the first college right now, from my understanding, that has divest. I want to give them a huge shout out for divesting out of the military industrial complex. Here, we could talk about Yale because me and Zakar have been there. Zakar was there last night. And also it got real this morning as well. We could talk, there's a lot about Yale we could talk about. But I want to give Zakar his words before we get there.
Yeah, thinking back onto what you originally said, Willie, about how can the Zionists, how can they not realize this is a genocide? How could they not care? And it's not just that they're evil, they're brainwashed. Literally from the time you're born. I was also brainwashed into this. I was made to watch Shalom Sesame, which is the Israeli version of Sesame Street, and it is straight up Zionist propaganda. So basically, when I was learning to talk, I was learning these lies about Israel. I think people don't want to accept that they've been lied to, that they've fallen for this crazy nonsense, this crazy lie. I take it incredibly personally that people are tying Zionism to Judaism because they're two very different things. It's a racist political ideology, and it has nothing to do with my religion. In fact, I was taught the opposite, that practicing Judaism means standing up for genocide, and it means standing up for injustices anywhere we see them. I wouldn't say I have sympathy for the Zionists, but I do understand where it came from and where it started from, and it is hard to wake up. It's hard to wake up to the reality. Also, what I've learned recently is a lot of them don't even believe this is real. They don't think a genocide is happening, which is insane because it's happening in front of our eyes. I think that's one way they're able to justify their evil behavior. But it's really disturbing because a lot of these, Jews are saying they don't feel safe in these encampments. The only time I've felt unsafe at encampments is when the Zionists are around. They say that we're the violent ones. I haven't seen any evidence of pro-Palestinian activists engaging in violence against the Zionists, but I have seen the Zionists and heard stories of the Zionists blowing smoke in people's faces, cursing at people, saying racial slurs in people's faces, and then start recording when someone responds. They've been really antagonistic, and it's disturbing. And I know, obviously, it's not my fault. I'm an American. I'm only 38. I didn't start this, but I have an incredible amount of guilt and shame that I live with, that it took me longer than I would have liked to learn the real truth about what was happening in Palestine. And I try to be involved literally as much as I can every single day, because I think it's so important for other Jews to be involved in this, because we have to get over this ridiculous sentiment that if you support Palestine, you're automatically anti-Semitic.
Mm.
I understand the concept of safety, because of what happened with the Holocaust and everything. I just never quite understood why it had to be in Palestine. I mean, I've always kind of felt like it could have been in somewhere in Europe. You could have taken what was East Prussia, which is now northern Poland, as a form of reparations against the injustices that happened to the Jewish people during the Holocaust. I mean, and I think that would have probably settled that, or something on that nature. And I looked at a Twitter feed today from Brianna Joy Gray, and she kind of noted that the Jewish faith is not the only faith that was a faith and a marginalized group without a nation. Like the Sikhs also don't have they don't have a nation as well, and so that's to be noted as well and everything. But certainly could have found an alternative to this situation. But the thing about it is that what Israel's doing today, there's no excuse for it. There is absolutely no excuse to what they're doing, to the and for evangelical Christians. There are many types of Zionisms, and
I was going to mention on that, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, like I wanted to mention the parallels off of what Zakar has said, because what a lot of people are misconstruing, that majority of Jewish people are Zionists, which is not even the case at all. You see a larger amount of anti-Zionist Jewish people, a huge large amount. What you do see mostly that is outdoing their actual population is what you were about to go into, the Christians. I come from a Christian background, and my parents, they didn't sell me on Zionism, but the church did. The church I was a part of, they definitely did. They saw Israel as the Holy Land, and they saw Israel as being the rightful place, God's chosen people who are Jewish there and also Christians there. They'd see it as the place where the end of times happen, and that's where the new kingdom will arise. People who are Pentecostal and also non-denomination, these are the lessons that we were taught as young Christians. I don't know how the evangelist, I can't even say their name right now. I don't know what they were taught, but they seem more batshit crazier. But we were taught that there was going to be a new kingdom, and that's where the new kingdom was going to be, that when the Messiah returns. And that's how we were sold into believing in Zionism, and you see that also in certain black churches. I'm not going to say all black churches. I'm going to speak for the black church. When you talk about this issue, they always say, man, you better stop talking about God's chosen people and stuff like that. Like it's embedded within our culture. You know what I mean? So I wanted to give that contrast from how I was taught to accept Zionism. And just like how Zakar mentioned coming into later on, I didn't start decolonizing my mind on how Israel is until I was in my 20s as well. So it's very, very important to talk about that, on how indoctrinized we are here in this country, in multiple faiths, to believe that the Palestinians are all evil and that Israel has every right and should exist, and there shouldn't be a Palestine. It's very, very scary.
What's really weird is that like the 6-Day War kind of changed things historically, because it was like between the 6-Day War and Yom Kippur in 1973, it was when I guess the ideology who support Israel kind of changed, because there was actually at one time there was a groundswell of people on the left, social democrats all the way to communists, that were sympathetic to the Jewish state. but they saw, a lot of them saw the injustice that was going on in Israel, and a lot of them kind of back away from it. And that was the same time when a lot of evangelicals, and not just evangelicals, but the more broader Christian community, whether we're talking about Roman Catholics or mainline Protestants, even, they started kind of having kind of a very fundamentalist view of end times prophecy. And again, it depends who you talk to in some of these churches. It depends who you talk to and everything.
Right. And at times it's a big thing in the Black church. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah. I'm an Episcopalian. We're very polite about everything. So
we're like, you're going to hell.
Sorry. I think it's important to note that this whole idea that Israel was founded because of the Holocaust and the Jews needed a place to go is absolutely a lie. The reason Israel was established is racism and xenophobia, and Europe and the United States wanted a white face in the Middle East to make sure they weren't trying to better themselves, basically, or make sure they weren't trying to take away any resources they wanted. And the project to colonize Palestine started long before the Holocaust. And if Israel really cared about Holocaust survivors, they would have treated them well once they got to Israel, and they didn't. Most Holocaust survivors lived in poverty their whole lives. The ones that are still alive are eating out of trash cans. If they gave a shit about Jews, they wouldn't have sterilized the Ethiopian Jews that came as refugees to Israel. So it's just a lie. It's a bold-faced, racist, xenophobic lie that started a long time ago. And I'm also really sick of this narrative that Israel is this amazing savior of the Jewish people, because it is not.
Yeah, and even within Israeli society, if you even subtract the conflict with the Palestinians, there are other issues. The secularism that kind of once existed there is no longer there. It's increasingly turning into a theocratic state, and especially with this government that got elected recently, and it was bad before, but with this government recently, so far to the right that people like, what's his name, Ben Given, what's his name? You know who I'm talking about?
Ben
Gvir. He's so far to the right that he makes Netanyahu look like Norman Finkelstein. I mean, that's how.
That's a huge contrast you just gave there.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Norman Finkelstein. I'm just trying to be.
Norman Finkelstein is my guy.
I'm being hyperbolic. I'm just trying to make it. But what I'm saying, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, kind of what George Galloway said. When this happened, because he basically said what I just said here, it's just kind of like, even there are people who are on the liberal side of the equation that passively supports them because they think it's some sort of Western liberal oasis in the Middle East. It's not that anymore. It's not that. I mean, if it was that at one time, it's definitely gone. Yeah. And so it's I mean, I don't like to use the word fascist in this context, but I mean, objectively, what we're seeing over there is fascism. It's fascism.
Yeah. And to piggyback real quick off of what you said, and Zakar, if you would like to chime in, go ahead. I definitely need people to understand. I'm pretty sure you have mentioned this on your show, that this doesn't stop with just Bibi Netanyahu. It's the whole state itself. We need a liberated, free Palestine, and a Palestine where how it was before, with all people of all faiths can coexist and live together. This Zionist government is like the Hydra. You cut one head off, they're going to grow another one. Like the guy that was in office before Bibi, after Bibi left, he wasn't a nice guy neither. And then when he left, Bibi just came in, was like, all right, let's get it going. So it's not just him. And the liberal media wants you to believe that it's him. He's the problem. You got Biden saying, I'm like, not saying, but distancing himself away from Bibi. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they still support Israel, and we are anti-Israel. We do not want Israel, the Zionist state, to exist. We want Palestine. That's the end goal that we need people to understand.
Well, what is needed to happen is there needs to be a successor to the state of Israel, where it's a secular state that is, I guess you could say, that's neither for either, they're neither for neither group, but for both groups, but not official, not officially an ethno state for either group, where both cultures are respected. And that's what needs to happen. A one state solution, which guarantees equality for all people, and that can't happen under the current situation. It will not happen.
They don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want a one state solution at all. You saw the map.
Yeah. And we can see that what's happening right there. I mean, they're basically annexing, what limited autonomy Gaza had there. They just basically eliminated it. Yeah. So, and I mean, I predict that by 2040 that there will not be a state of Israel. I mean, it's really funny. I am a new fan of Henry Kissinger, but I remember in one of the many dinner conversations with my dad growing up, he said that when he saw an interview with Henry Kissinger once, and I don't like to quote Henry Kissinger in a favorable way, but he did say this, and he would be correct, that Israel could be winning these battles 100 times, but all they have to do is lose that one time, and they're gone. They're gone. No way they can get it back. And so they're committing what they're committing. They themselves are committing national suicide with their policies.
Yeah, I mean, Zakar, go ahead if you want to say something. I don't
think I have the knowledge or the right to tell the Palestinians what they should do with their state, or even where the Israelis should go and what they should do. I mean, I have a GED and like a couple semesters of college. So, and also I'm an American. I don't think it's my business. I feel like the US gets involved in everyone else's business constantly. And, these countries are grown-ups. They can make their own decisions. I mean, what's going on in Palestine is horrible, but we have a tendency to constantly involve ourselves in conflicts that we have no business being a part of. And yeah. So I personally just try to stay out of that aspect of it. I'm very focused right now on the ceasefire. I do think there needs to be a solution. I just think I'm the wrong dude to ask.
Yeah, the ceasefire is definitely what liberals have to understand is the first freaking step. And then the next freaking step is to put all these people, ICC, all these people got to get locked up. Every last one of them. This state has to collapse. I'm sorry for the people that are afraid of that part. Zakar's being nice. And Zakar has a very right point, actually. We're Americans. We don't get a say. But that's why it would be great to have a Palestinian on later on, because it needs to collapse and there needs to be a revamp of a Palestinian state with Jewish people involved, Muslim people involved, Palestinians as the crust of it. That's what needs. There needs to be a return. The Palestinians need to all return. They are the biggest in the diaspora of refugees, the largest diaspora. A lot of people have to understand, they are the largest, and it's really, really sad that they can't return to their own freaking country. But well, on that, I don't know what else would need to be done. I just wanted to say straight up, I am straight up telling people that Israel has to be like you. They can come at me if they want, Willie. If they want to take the clip, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to apologize. The Zionism has to stop. It has to end.
What's going on after October the 7th? Speaks for itself. And what's going on to this day. And somebody pointed this out that when Iran started firing the missiles and drones into Israel a few weeks back and everything, that there was by default a temporary ceasefire in Gaza. And it didn't do any damage to Israel. Of course, I don't want any lives to be I don't want anybody's lives lost anywhere. But here's the thing. They did it as a warning to Israel, and they showed restraint. And so in a weird way, they show more moral clarity than objectively than Israel, and some people will be upset for me for saying that, but that that's the truth. They were strategic on how they did it. It was kind of like a warning shot. They were like, Israel, you better chill the fuck out, and we're gonna show to you, you better chill out. And they kind of, for a moment, they kind of stopped. Anyway, it just something I that thought just brought that to mind right there. So
yeah, and on that as well too, the one thing that people have to understand, that the reason why that they had to go that route is that because this lie that liberals, I'm going to be getting on liberals a lot. I just want to warn you, Willie. Liberals want to say that Israel is controlling everything, or the Jews are basically controlling the United States with their money and all this stuff. That's anti-Semitic as hell. That's not true. AIPAC is a powerful lobby, yes, but they don't control the country. The United States, like we said earlier, uses Israel as a vassal state. They're not sovereign. Sovereign means they can do what they want and continue to do what they want. They're a vassal state to the United States, which means that if the United States needed them to stop what they're doing, it'll happen just like that. All they gotta do is cut the funding. Iran is a very powerful country. They can't even stop Hamas, Gaza. So they think they can handle the Houthis. They think they can handle Iran. They think they can handle Hezbollah, when there's needs to be a full research on understanding how strategic Hamas is right now. All I'm seeing on Telesur is them destroying their tanks and upholding the north. They have not controlled any part of Gaza. All they've been doing is just murdering people. They have not at all accomplished their original objective. They are failing on that. And they know they are failing. And as much as they want to escalate a war with Iran, they know that's not the smoke they want right now. Let's just be absolutely clear. That's why Biden did everything he can to make sure and then say, oh, you guys can invade Rafah now, just to prevent a war with Iran. That's why Biden did that, because Biden doesn't want this to stop neither. Let's just make that perfectly clear. He can stop it if he wants to. He has the power, as we just talked about. And there's a lot of other examples that we could go down and talk about too that shows that the United States has that power. Israel is just a vassal state that is used for the interests of the United States. They are not sovereign. And people have to understand the difference between sovereignty. You want to know who is sovereign? Iran is sovereign. Yemen is sovereign. Lebanon is sovereign. Syria is sovereign. All those are sovereign states. They can control their own and protect their own. Israel has to answer to our government.
Israel's an aircraft carrier for the United States in many ways.
Yeah. That's where they fund all their weapons and everything. And when America says we're done funding a certain war so they don't be in trouble no more, guess who comes in and funds that war? Israel goes and takes over that part.
It needs to stop. I mean, it needs to stop for all, once and for all. And and I think the Americans are going to have a wake up call when the gas prices starts to skyrocket. You know, and if Biden had any sense, he would realize he needs to go and put a stop to this shit right now, and stop cucking before Benjamin Netanyahu, because he's going to lose this election over this shit, because the economy is going to tank, because the oil prices are going to go up, and the economy is going to go further down than it already is, and it's not just something that's going to go on over there, and we're not really all that affected over here, kind of like it was in the past, but it's going to directly affect us. That's not right. I just said, because especially
everything definitely affects us. Yeah,
since 9/11, it has affected us. I mean, I remember when I was paying close to $5 a gallon during the George W. Bush years for gas. I will never forget that. So, and I expect to probably be seeing that sometime this year happening again.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I think the gas prices are going to go up because of this situation. So,
that's right, because we're running out of our reserves.
Yeah. So, I expect to see Trump coming back in January.
Oh God!
It just feels like Biden wants to lose, and I'm not sure why that's the Democrats' stance. Not that I'm a Democrat, but it really just seems like he's constantly doing things. And I'm not sure why the Democrats are. It really seems like they're trying to lose, and I don't understand why.
Well, it was the Democrats that they have Orange Man in the White House. They can sit there and they can fundraise. Oh, you elect us? We're going to go and do something about it. Trump ain't going to be arrested and put in prison and all of that and everything. Yeah. I mean, believe me, if you're going to put Trump in prison, there are other people that's done a hell of a lot worse. Again, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, John Bolton, all those goons, their asses need to be in prison, and they're walking around as free, and they shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they done far worse, and far worse than Trump. Trump is a clown. He's stupid. He's incompetent. He's a moron. And honestly, I'm kind of scared if he gets back in a way, because I think that he might be a bit more vicious than he was the first time round too. So ain't going to look good either way, whoever wins in November.
No.
Yeah. So you want to talk about Yale?
Yeah, let me get the oh my gosh. Oh, let's do that.
Yeah, let's talk about Yale.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Hold on, I need to prepare for this segment.
Do that. I don't know her name, but wow, when I saw her on Twitter and the other day, I was like, really? There is this fiction that there is like a Nazi-like movement on students, really, on campus toward Jewish students, which I think is absolutely viciously false. Yeah, especially when a lot of the students who are protesting for Palestinian justice are Jewish themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they had a Seder there too. Like it's not just the prayers that our beloved Muslim community is doing. They're also doing the Seders. They're also doing things that the Jewish faith calls for, because it's Passover right now, right?
Yeah.
Zakar, or did it
ended yesterday?
It ended yesterday. Okay. Yeah. So
yeah.
Well, Zakar, I mean,
it ended today.
You want to talk about your experience before I talk about
Oh, you're welcome to go. We're talking about our experiences at Yale with these Zionists, and
Yeah.
I mean, this lady, I brought my own. I just wanted to tell everyone here that I am not afraid. I am not afraid. That is so ridiculous. These people trying so hard to victimize themselves and just failing so miserably. My favorite is the person in green in the background who is just vibing and having like a good day and dancing. And just these things keep failing so badly. We had this lady at Yale. There was that other blonde lady in the hat who was crying because no one would talk to her. And I saw another one, stupid white lady calling the police and saying she was being surrounded. And there's literally people yelling on camera in the background, like, no one's surrounding you. You can leave. Like the ridiculousness and the offensiveness of this woman coming to Yale with that ridiculous shirt and trying to provoke some sort of response from peaceful protesters that have been nothing but peaceful this entire time.
Right.
The absurdity is, it would be funny if this wasn't during a fucking genocide. Like if people of an entire race, ethnicity, and like wasn't being slaughtered, including children, this would be like funny, haha. But it's also super disturbing.
I have a theory though. I think that if there were any instances of it happening, if there were, it's possible it could have been some agent provocateurs to try to make the whole movement look bad. You know, if it happened, I think it's possible that could have been, because when the right do fucked up shit, they're like, like when the January 6th insurrection took place, there are people who said that these were Black Lives Matter and Antifa people dressed up as Trump supporters to make the whole Trump MAGA movement look bad. They don't need any help looking bad. The MAGA movement, they never needed any help. But right. It's just kind of like, well, who's not to say if it did happen that there were some harassment going on, and it's, no matter even if somebody's like the biggest Zionist scumbag out there, I don't think they should be harassed for having a wrong opinion. However, if it did happen, it could be that an agent provocateur, somebody out there to smear the movement to make the whole movement look bad, could have taken place. I know that Fox News had been kind of exaggerating things about it that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
If there was really anti-Semitism happening, if this was actually happening, the Zionists would not stop talking about it. They would have videos of it. They would be marching in the street. They would be throwing an absolute temper tantrum about it because they want to be victims so bad. They would cling on to that information and put it all over the web. There would be news articles. Like, it would be a big deal. So the fact that there really isn't, and anytime there is, you look into it and it's like a person was offended because there was a Palestinian flag or something absolutely ridiculous. They felt threatened because someone was wearing a keffiyeh or, whatever ridiculous nonsense. They want to be victims so bad. If there was actually instances of that happening because of this movement of Palestine, I promise you, we would all not stop hearing about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I put out a video. I put out a video short a few days ago on April 26th, morning after work, on the road. Talking about I'm in solidarity with the students, the encampment, and and talk about the free speech and everything. And it went kind of semi-viral, had over 1,000 views, and every right-wing crank under the sun said, they were the ones calling for a crackdown and accused me of being pro-censorship when I said I support this, and I emphasized this is a free speech issue too. And then, they just went and attacked me over this. And it, just kind of like they're saying, well, you support the right to incite, riots and all that. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's like when push comes to shove, when it comes to free speech that they disagree with, they'll skirt around and find a way to try to make it, to try to weasel their way for their narrative to basically kind of ideologically have their cake and eat it, accuse others what they're guilty of. because these are the same kind of people that will look at the Charlottesville protesters, the Tiki Torch dorks, in Charlottesville, Virginia, at the Unite the Right rally, and act like they're the victims, while the people who are protesting against these racist assholes were being the unreasonable ones. But all of a sudden, people protesting on behalf of justice for the Palestinian people, all of a sudden they're the bad guys. Have you noticed that?
And that's a really good point about Charlottesville. I read somewhere, and I don't have the exact statistic, but they've arrested hundreds of college students that are just camping out, trying to stand up for Palestine, trying to stop this genocide. And meanwhile, from Charlottesville, I think they arrested around 40 people out of the thousands of Nazis that marched through the streets with tiki torches. So I don't want to hear everyone crying boo-hoo, all of a sudden we care, because if they cared, they'd be arresting more Nazis than they were peaceful college students. And also, these theories about this being a riot, I've been there. It's super wholesome. People are singing songs and eating meals together and hanging out. It only becomes a riot when the campus security and the police come and start beating people up and start destroying tents. They make it a riot. We don't.
Yeah. Can you share? Were you there? Could you share last night and another time that you displayed that you saw something like that?
Yeah, as far as the Zionists go.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there was a call last night, Willie. Just to give a context of what I'm asking Zakar to share about, where people were asking everyone to come. It was at 9:00. Everybody to pull up because it was getting real. So I wasn't there, so I wanted to ask Zakar how what happened.
Yeah, I had just gone to a Seder in the Streets. It was organized by two Jewish organizations that are pro-Palestine, Mending Minyan and Jewish Voices for Peace, and they've been really integral in helping push for a ceasefire. And I wanted to go check on the encampment because I was in New Haven and it was walking distance. And I was just there by myself for a little while, just wanting to support the kids and make sure everything was safe. And it was super calm. It was really chill. No one was harassing anybody, but a group of Jewish students came and they were trying to talk to anybody who would listen to them, claiming that they were the rational ones. They just wanted to know what was going on and they just wanted to ask questions. And unfortunately, they did grab someone from the crowd who I don't know, who probably thought because she's a nice human being, and that seems like a normal enough question, like, hey, what's going on? I just want to talk to you. I'm not trying to be hostile. There's nothing, going on here. So they're trying to ease this woman's tensions. And I'm like kind of standing next to them so I can hear this conversation happening. And it starts out normal for about, I don't know, half a second. And then they immediately go into, can I say the horrible thing that they said? Or am I supposed to do an abbreviation? On TikTok?
Here's my policy. I'm a free speech absolutist, but I am also concerned about getting in trouble. So if you abbreviate it, I would prefer it.
They were yelling about how the Palestinians and I guess the people that support them like us use SA as a weapon. And they want to know why we're so pro SA. And just really horrible things that, like you said, I can't even repeat without a trigger warning. Really disturbing, violent things. That's been really hard to watch. And yeah, the only time I've ever felt unsafe at any of these encampments that I've been to, any of the ceasefire resolutions, any protests I've been to, is from the Zionists, not from the Muslims. And I'm a trans man who escaped from Florida, and I'm lots of Muslim friends that have not even blinked. And there's that whole narrative that if a queer person went to Palestine, they'd immediately be beheaded. I mean, they'd probably be killed by Israel, but it's not because they're fucking queer, it's because they're in Palestine. And everyone's just been so welcoming. I'm basically a stranger here, and it's a really beautiful environment. And I'm so sick of this narrative on the news that there are these, crazy, riotous gatherings, like what's going on at Yale. Like I said, it's peaceful until the police get involved.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I'll go right after you.
Not to take it off of Yale, but I did go to multiple ceasefire resolutions in different cities in Connecticut. I went to one particularly disturbing one in Hampton where a group of Zionists were cheering on the death of babies and horrible things happening to women. And honestly, the emotional wear of having to deal with the Zionists is a lot. And it's shameful because like I share I'm ethnically connected to these people, and it's embarrassing. So yeah, it's a lot. The Zionists are a lot. They're not winning. There's definitely always way less of them. There's usually only a couple stragglers every time they've shown up to events. They just try to antagonize people. Yeah, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent, but yeah,
no, you're fine.
The Zionists are awful. It's been a lot.
Well, you mentioned the
and
baby.
Also, I wanted people to follow Yellies for Palestine. If you want to see what's going on over there, Yellies for Palestine. And if you are in Connecticut and you're happening to listen to this, shouts out to North Carolina, my second home state, by the way. If you are in Connecticut, bring your ass here. When you see the call and we need people to pull the fuck up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse.
I know, I did it too. No, I'm sorry.
Cursing is allowed on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I realized I cut you off, Willie. Go ahead.
No. It's like what Warren said. He says that I'm a highbrow show here. I said, no, Warren, no, we can cut up and do whatever we want here. So, yeah. What was the point I was going to make? I was going to make a point. It may come back in my mind later on, so that's fine. So,
I'm sorry, Willie.
No, you're fine. It's okay. It's totally fine. I was going to make a point. I just forgot the point I was going to make. But anyway, but to have the Prime Minister of Israel lecture the United States.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That offended me.
Yeah. Well, he has that mindset, Willie. I don't know if people heard us listening, but he also was caught in recordings, and then also like people were telling people like in articles that he was like, we can literally tell them anything and they'll buy it. We can say this, we can say that. The Americans are always going to back us. Like he fully believes that he can manipulate us, and he sees now that he cannot manipulate us. So now he has to do a different approach. The original approach that American Anglo-Saxons have been practicing since this country had became great to their opinion. The Anglo-Saxon approach of yes, I'm using the term Anglo-Saxon. I don't care if people get mad. The Anglo-Saxon approach of dictating and telling people what they should do. You know what I mean? He think he can do that, but you are just the prime minister of a vassal state. You're not sovereign. I'm going to keep repeating that. You're not sovereign. Like you could dictate as much as you want. Hell, maybe your dictation is going to work for people that listens to you, but no one's going to listen to you here, really. Like they're not taking you seriously, bro. You interrupted Joe Biden's neocon plans. The plan was to go after China, and the plan was to go after Russia. You interrupting them. They're trying to fail in other places.
Very true. Very true.
Like he thinks that he has like control. When your term is up, and when this whole genocide gets to some type of point where they try to go back to normalcy, and I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that I'm gonna be facetious and say I hope the whole shit collapse. Let me just repeat what I said earlier. But you're going to jail. You and your wife is going to get locked up. And I hope your friends, Ben Gavir and everybody else, go with you too. He's on borrowed time. He fucking knows this. He knows this. So
even if Israel continues to exist after this, and he's no longer the prime minister, it doesn't take the ICC. Even in Israel itself, he's in danger of going to prison.
Yeah, exactly.
On corruption charges.
And his whole career is built on lies. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu isn't even his real name. His name was Benjamin Milankowski. He had a very white Jewish last name. This whole idea of taking Arab sounding names to sound more indigenous to Israel it's BS. It's a lie.
Right.
I also was told that you can't take a DNA test in Israel. I took one myself as a Jew to make a point that we're not indigenous to Israel. And sure enough, wouldn't you know, I'm a white Jew from Europe, just like all the rest of us. There are Ethiopian Jews. There are non-white Jews. But for the most part, Jew just means like you're Sephardic or you're Ashkenazi. I'm Ashkenazi. Sephardic is from like the Spain region, but it's all white, just all white people. And it's just ridiculous that they're trying to make claim to a country that they can't even prove. They're trying to say that we're indigenous, and there's no proof of that. Palestinians are indigenous. If we were, people like me, when we did our DNA test, would come up with some percentage of Middle Eastern. And what's really interesting about Ancestry DNA is that even though they came back with my DNA, spit in the tube, and did the whole science shebang, they wrote a whole thing about all the different places in Europe the Jews are from, and just happened to throw in at the end that I'm also Israeli, even though the science, the data they sent me clearly says I'm not. This idea is so entrenched in everything that they literally just threw in, I guess, for fun at the end that I'm also Israeli, when they counteracted themselves. Like, there's nothing on the percentages of my DNA that says that, but they still want to trick everyone all the time into believing this lie. And it's a lie. You know, the Jews don't have nowhere to go in Israel. They can literally go back to the motherland, which is Europe. Like, they can just go be white in Europe. They can come to the United States. We have like entire Jewish cities, basically, with like a huge Jewish population. They can go to Brooklyn. There's places in Florida that are all Jewish. Like, they're not this sad sack group of poor people that can't possibly relocate, don't have anywhere else to go. There's lots of places on this planet where white people are safe. They'll be just fine. The reason that lady had to write Jew on her shirt is because we're white and we look like all the other white people. In order to victimize herself, she had to get her sign. I'm a Jew, because it's just so ridiculous. All of it is so ridiculous.
Well, that's another thing about the anti-Semitic accusations, like what about the anti-Semitism on campus? It's like, unless you're wearing a yarmulke or whatever article of clothing, how the fuck can you tell who's Jewish or not?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. I mean, just I mean, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I mean, just saying, how can you tell? I mean,
we're white from Europe and we look like other white people from Europe. And like, some of us have slightly darker hair than other white people, but like, so do lots of Italians who are also white, look a lot like others. It's very silly. We very much blend. And so the discrimination is very easy to not experience. That's not to say that anti-Semitism doesn't exist. I have like,
it
does. Let's be
right. It does, but this isn't it. Like we were talking about Charlottesville, that's anti-Semitic. When I lived in Florida, these people in full Nazi regalia, the whole outfit, head to toe, were standing outside Disney Worlds in Florida, throwing a temper tantrum about the Jews. Like, that's anti-Semitic, trying to ruin a poor kid's day who's just like on their way to Disney World for the first time. And then there's just Nazis. Like, that's anti-Semitism. I had kids draw swastikas on my science project when I was in 6th grade. Like, that sucks. But this is not that. Nobody's in danger. Again, I would like to see one article. I'd like to see one video of someone who was actually experienced some form of anti-Semitism that wasn't someone being like, let's not have a genocide and maybe Palestine deserves to live.
Right.
So far, I haven't seen anything. And I'm open-minded to be proved wrong. If there's an article out there, prove me wrong, but I haven't seen anything.
I'll tell you where you'll find anti-Semitism, especially in the USA. You'll find them at a Klan rally. You'll find them, with neo-Nazis. You'll find them on the far right. That's where you'll find them. That's where you'll find them. You're not going to, I'm sorry, I'm going to kind of stereotype. You're not going to see a bunch of hipster baristas, they're college students, going to talk about, the Jewish question. I'm sorry, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
As politically as incorrect as that sounded.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, there's this this white guilt. This is what I'm seeing as a black man. There's a white guilt, especially in Germany, that they feel very, very bad for what they have done. So they want to throw it on brown people now so they can have a breath of fresh air. Because it wasn't just Palestine that came to mind when they was thinking about this. They was looking in Africa, Kenya. They was looking in what was the name of the country they was looking at? Was it Kenya? I gotta re-look. I don't want to say something that is incorrect. But they were looking in Africa first before they even decided Palestine. And
it was Mozambique.
Yeah, it was some area in Africa that I can't even think of right now. So they were already planning, the British was planning to drop this on brown people anyway, brown or black people anyway. And that is just so awful because they had the privilege, and we're talking about the Anglo-Saxons here. They had the privilege to just throw their problems on everybody. I mean, think about it. They were pissed off that they couldn't own us anymore. So they decided to put us in the slums and make us hate each other and poverty and like, oh, look, you guys are animals. You're killing and shooting each other anyway. Why should we even care? Why should I even feel bad? So they can feel better. It's the same effect. And that's how they're true. They want. That's why you see in the media how they're so like trying to make such strong, resilient Jewish people that come from a very strong, powerful background to look like victims that can't fight and defend themselves. It's like that's what I see in the media. It's like, oh, you guys are just attacking these people. They want to create a new enemy that so they can feel better. So the Anglo-Saxon media can feel better and feel like white saviors. And don't apologize for what everything they have done, what their ancestors have done in the past that has caused this issue of Israel from the first place.
Either of you know a woman in Florida by the name of Jen Perlman?
It sounds familiar.
She's running in the Democratic primaries against Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Oh, okay.
And she's a good radical leftist. She's a Jewish woman, radical leftist, and everything. And this is what she said. She said, quoting her, she said, "Jews are not victims; they're survivors." And she and like yourself, Sakari, she said she was also at one time in her younger years an indoctrinated Zionist until she realized things how they were and everything. And so she's that's one of the stark difference between her, obviously Debbie Wasserman Schultz, on that issue right there. And she's challenging her in that district. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because when people try to throw around the anti-Semitic smear, cite someone like Jen Perlman or cite Max Blumenthal or Glenn Greenwald or what have you, Norman Finkelstein, and I don't think any of them hate themselves.
Yeah. Oh, not to mention they colonized themselves. I'm sorry, I'm going on this Anglo-Saxon rant. They colonized their goddamn selves before they started colonizing everybody else. The Irish community is pissed. Long live Ireland. They have every right to be pissed, and they stand with Palestine. I'm sorry.
I'm also Irish.
I don't know why I had to blare that out.
Oh, I was in Ireland 4 years ago. I went to Ireland awesome. 4 years ago. Beautiful country, by the way. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just think discussions like this is important because they're out there to try to and when I say they're out there, I'm meaning the right wing are out there to try to smear the left, to havoc division, to try to make excuses for an act of evil that nobody should tolerate.
Yeah. That's basically what it is. And the Republicans are two-faced it because they like to make jokes about Jewish satellites and all this stuff. MTG, we heard what you said, and now you want to change your tune. Like y'all all a bunch of Nazis, man, and now you want to change your tune. Like, come on now, like no, even a Zionist. Like the fact that if anybody trusts them, just because this is going on, like you are fooling yourselves. And I'm like straight up Zionists, Christians, Zionists, Muslim Zionists. Haven't met a Muslim Zionist yet. But I'm pretty sure there's one out there.
It exists. I don't understand that, but
yeah,
I'll give you one example. The trader himself, just like his grandfather, the king of Jordan, that's definitely a Zionist. Screw him. But yeah, like they are fooling themselves, and it's that damn contradictory of capitalism as socialists that we talk about 24/7, the contradictions of capitalism. We see it 24/7, very blatantly in this Biden administration. We need to take advantage of that and lead the people on, just like how we were leading them on during the Bernie Sanders caboclo and the Trump caboclo. We need to lead them over because like straight up contradiction of capitalism is going to kill us. And what they let in say, fascism is capitalism in a decay. So we are definitely in that era. So very, very slowly here in America.
Yeah, and we are on a path toward a bipartisan path toward fascism. And I wrote this on Twitter the other day. I told people, if you're a Biden supporter, he ain't going to save you. If you're a Trump supporter, he ain't going to save you. Neither of them will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very, very facts.
Yeah. So that's actually been a very very fruitful discussion here. Any concluding words?
I got some. Zakari, you can go first.
I just want to give a shout out to all these students. They're so amazing. I'm so proud of all the activist work they're doing, and to all the people directly affected that are involved in activist work, because it's so traumatizing. There's lots of Palestinian Americans that are involved, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And that's the one thing that's giving me hope in these really dark times, is seeing how passionate everyone is and how people are coming together to stand up and say we don't support this genocide.
All right.
I want to plug in lastly, everybody that wants to donate, if you have the means, please go to, and I'm going to spell it out for you. Please go to PAL Crisis Relief. So PAL Crisis CRISISRELIEF. PAL Crisis Relief. They are a on-site nonprofit in Gaza by medical students that are helping displaced Palestinians. They have already helped over 80,000. So please go to them and donate. That is on site. You can definitely make an impact right now.
All right. I guess I will do my little conclusion summary too here. There is a bright side that in the fact that that people are waking up in the age of social media, that at one time the mainstream media will paint a narrative, and if you challenge the narrative, you were some kind of terrible person. And people are seeing through this shit now, and they're seeing what's going on, and they're being outraged, and they are right to be outraged. And while there's pushback, there's also positive pushback, and people are calling out on the smear merchants out there that they're sitting there saying that the people who are what happened?
I think we lost Jabbar.
Oh, well, hopefully he'll come back. The people who are accused of these accusations are fighting for humanity's best ideals, and the people who are supporting the crimes against humanity, that history will show that they were wrong ultimately down the road. So that's where I stand in this whole situation, and with the hopes that there will eventually, very soon, sooner than we think, there will eventually be a Palestinian state, and a Palestinian state, and with justice for everybody, and that's where I stand on that. So, let's see, I guess we lost them there. That happens sometimes with the technology and all that. Zakar, I thank you for showing up here on the Willy Bragg Show, and
Thank you for having me.
absolutely, and thank you for the work that you do. Is important, and we all need to work together to on this issue, and all the other issues, to fight for better country and a better world, and that's what it's all about. So everyone, if you like, okay, is he coming back? Yes, at the stage. Welcome
Sorry
back.
about that. My Mac
Hey.
froze. Sorry about
You're
that. My
fine.
Mac froze.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just thanking Zakari. I was just giving my final message. Where the optimism is with this discussion that we have, and hopefully the ultimate goal of a free Palestinian state where everybody has justice, and the pushback that we all have against the smear merchants who are going to sit there and accuse us of being the worst of what they project. We can fight these people back in that regard, and fight their narrative. So, and I thank you, Jamarr, once again for showing up here on the Willy Bragg Show as well. And
oh yeah, man, anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I guess let me go and do this here, and if y'all like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree with what you have to say. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we're in fact the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to subscribe to this channel here, and remember, reject corporate media. Free Julian Assange, free Palestine, free healthcare for all, and free speech. Everyone, have a great day, and I will see y'all on the next stream.